Yeah, we have discussed supervised, unsupervised reinforcement, and other than that, so we have discussed multiple topics, and we have been given the recording link also. And after that, I have told you to go to the self-paced learning. So I think you must have learned something in the self-paced learning. The types of learnings in ML, lifecycle, and applications. Yeah, that's right. ML lifecycle also is one of the crucial topics which I have discussed. So we have discussed about AI subtopics. That is the main thing which I have discussed in the entry of the class. I have told you what is ML, where ML comes in the category of AI. So AI is multiply divided into multiple categories. So in these categories where AI, ML included, and also I have told you with an example of building. In this building where ML stands and where genetic AI is generative, and also we have told about the agentic AI agents and some other thing. Yeah, that's great, everyone. I hope you all remembered. Yeah, that's great. I can see all your messages. So going to the session, we'll be discussing today about the data science topics. What is data science? How we'll be introduced into the data science. So if you see the curriculum of this course, I'll be showing you the curriculum. Give me a second. I hope you can see this thing. So we can see a calendar, right? Please give me some emojis to confirm that you guys are seeing this calendar. So these will be the things. Make sure that we'll be discussing in these upcoming sessions. So we'll be discussing a bit of Python libraries. As we have discussed in the previous session, that we'll be discussing a bit of Python libraries in this session. And also we'll be discussing what the context of ML in the data science. So what ML holds its important role in the data science. I hope you all know what is the data science, and data science is the most emerging technologies and the most emerging job roles in the upcoming days. And we'll be having a major part in this ML. So what are the opinions we'll be having in this ML? We'll be learning in the sessions. Also coming to this data science topics, we'll be learning today, and also we'll be specifying a part of the today's session for learning the libraries of machine learning. So you can see the libraries what we'll be learning. We'll be learning NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn, Sklearn, and also we'll be learning about the TensorFlow. So going to the libraries, we'll be going to the notebooks. We'll be going to the notebooks. So I have created dedicated notebooks for every library, for NumPy, for Pandas. So I'll help you through what are the libraries we'll be having and how to operate these libraries. Coming to the data preparations, we'll be having the EDA also, exploratory data analysis, and how to process the data sets. We'll be having multiple data sets. So we'll be having the topics how to pre-process them, how to handle the missing values, and also categorically split the data into training and testing. So we have discussed the data will be of two types, testing data and training data. So we need to categorize the 80-20%, also 70-30%. So based upon your choice, we'll be going with 80-20 or 70-30. So we'll be going, if we are going with 80-20, 80% of the data will be of training data and 20% will be testing data. So you'll be training the 80% of the data for the model, and you'll be testing with the 20% of the data you'll be having in data set. Coming to supervised and unsupervised, in this cluster, you'll be having the algorithms. What are the algorithms we'll be discussing in these sessions? You can find them. And also make sure what are the self-paced you're learning. Make sure these are not included in them. So because I'll be explaining these algorithms, I'll be explaining the technologies, what we have discussed and seen until now in this curriculum. So apart from them, if you want to learn something new, go for the self-learning. And also at last, we'll be discussing class and how to work on the class. So after class, we'll be your hands-on project, and your mentor Kusma will take care about the project handling and AMA sessions. So as per the request, please make sure you'll be learning the topics which are not mentioned in the curriculum. So if you're learning the curriculum topics, you'll be seeing the topics multiple times. So if you're learning some other topics that are not included in the curriculum, then you'll be learning something new. Make sure you plan based upon the topics that are not included in the curriculum. I hope that's clear for you. I need some response in the chat if you have understood the topics which I have discussed. So as per the curriculum you'll be seeing in the website of Smart Interns, please plan your self-learning. So as you have told me that you learned the fundamentals of ML yesterday in the yesterday's class, make sure you'll be learning the topics which will not cover in the future class. Now we'll be discussing the topics about the data science. So ML and AI as part of the data science, it is a small subset which discusses the pre-processing and the projection of the data. So what are the data we are getting? What are the data we are having? We need to project the data. We need to forecast the data for real market scenarios. So what are the things we'll be learning in this data sciences? We'll be learning part of ML as we have discussed in the previous session. We'll be learning the ML algorithms. So let me delve into the topics. So data science is a technology where it will convert the raw data into very meaningful and actionable insights. So using these insights, you can convert the market of the places. Sorry. You can convert the raw data into a sustainable data. So this data will be converted by using the data analytics. So data analytics, if you want to learn this data analytics, it will comes under the part of data science. So data science as a cluster will teach you what is ML, what is data analytics, and some other things. So coming to data analytics also, you can perform the analysis by using the ML algorithms. So we learn the algorithms such as linear regression, logistic regression. So which algorithms will be used to forecast and which algorithms will be used to classify the data. So as a part of the recent survey, we can see that 35% of the job growth will be seeking that in data science. So as per the recent demand, we have included this topic in the ML internship. Sorry for the network interruptions until now. So now we'll be seeing what is the data science. Data science will come under the cluster where we'll be having ML, AI, and also DA. So data science is not a part of, not a small technology we'll be discussing. So data science, it's the where data warehousing, data mining, and everything comes up. So if you want to take an example, we'll go with an example of Amazon. I hope you all know this Amazon example where you'll be having millions of projects and billions of customers. So if you want to buy a single product, you'll be looking around thousands of products. Okay. So even after filtering also, you'll be getting hundreds of products. So Amazon will store thousands of products for under similar categories. Suppose if you want to buy a phone, Amazon will have thousands of products. If you want to buy some branded clothes, Amazon will have some thousands of products. So how these products will be stored, how these actions and everything, the what are the product information we're having, these things will be stored in multiple data sets. So these are not saved in a single data format. You can take example of Excel, PDF, Word document, cloud, database, and you'll be having multiple other data formats where these data will be stored. So if you want to make some analysis, suppose I want to see the previous trends of the shoes which people are buying so that I can make more shoes in the trend. So if I want to go in this kind of analysis, I'll be using forecast trending. So I'll be forecasting the previous trend, and also I want to imagine what is happening in the upcoming. I want to imagine what will be happening in the upcoming days. So using this forecasting, I'll be performing some ML algorithms. So by performing some ML algorithms, I can use task. So to perform some ML algorithms, I need to have some data. Where will I get the data? The data, as I've discussed, data will be in multiple data formats. So data, PDF, Word document, Excel, cloud, database, and everything. So to combine this data, the process of combining data from multiple formats and storing them in a single format, which is used for data analysis or for data forecasting, is called as data warehousing. So as a cluster, you can say that data science is not just only a small technology. Data science is a combination of AI, ML, data analytics, data warehousing, and data mining. Is that clear, everyone? Yes. Guys, give me some response. I want to know that whatever the things which I am discussing that you guys are understanding. And I hope you guys can see my screen completely. So the things which I have discussed until now, if you take an example of Amazon, what are the products we are having? What are the customer reviews? What are the forecasting if you want to know? So just like that, if you want to know what the process we'll be doing in this data science, we'll be doing the first process that is called as data collection and data cleaning. So if you want to take an example of Amazon, as you're already taking the example, Amazon is a website that will be used by billions of people, not just millions, billions. So billions is nothing but hundreds of crores. So if someone is using this product, this website, so he'll be came across multiple thousands of products. So if you want to know what is the best product that's available in this website, he'll be using the filter called as customer feedback. Okay. So if I want to see the customer feedback, I'll be just go into the options, sort, and I will see. But in the back end, if I want to sort the customer feedback as a machine or as an engineer of this Amazon, I'll be first doing the data collection and data cleaning. So whatever the reviews I'll be getting. So someone will type good, someone will type bad, someone will type great, someone will type nice, someone will type some long paragraphs that they had some good experience, and also if they had some bad discomfort or bad experience regarding the product, they'll be typing that this product is great, don't touch this product, don't go for this, and blah blah blah. So what are the reviews we are having? We need to clean the reviews. So we'll be having 1 lakh responses. In this 1 lakh responses, every response can be unique. Or we can only have 10 responses. These 10 responses are multiple 10,000 times. Okay, I hope you can get it 10,000 times, so 10 is 1 lakh. So we are only having this 10 responses. Suppose if you are having only 5 stars, and if you are having 1 lakh responses, that means they have only 1 lakh responses of 5 stars. That means it might be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But if you're having a feedback form, in that feedback form, if there is a text field, anyone can give their own text, which comprises of their own feedback. So if you want to collect data from that bunch of sources, you need to do a process called as data mining and data warehousing. And also this comes under the process of data collection and data cleaning. So gathering data from diverse sources and preparing it by mixing mixed values. And also you'll be finding some missing values in some places. When you collect the data from multiple sources, you'll be finding some missing values. Suppose at some places in feedback, someone might fill the form as 0, thinking that 0 is the least number they can give for the rating. So even if they give the rating as 2 star, 3 star, they'll be giving it as 0. So we need to consider 0 as a least response that we are getting for a product. That means bad or worst. Suppose if some person give 100 as a best example that they have came across a product, then we need to consider that product as it's having the best. So this is something we'll be going through data collection and data cleaning. So apart from that, what is outliers? Outliers is a thing which is not similar to the group of points. Suppose if you're having a 10 10 data points, let's go some technical and we'll come back with a practical example. So coming to the technical thing, if suppose you're having 10 data points, so let's take an example. This thing, I hope you all can see this graph. So in this graph, oh, that's changed. So in this graph, let's wait for the graph up here. Yeah. So we don't waste time. So if you take an example, this comes under Canada. Okay, let's take an example. So this entire thing that comes under Canada. So if there is a point that is here, and the Canada graph line is until this part. So we'll call that as an outlier. So I'll go with the paint option. Give me an example. Give me a second. So guys, I hope you all can see my screen. So I have drawn a graph. So this is y-axis and this is x-axis. Correct me if I'm wrong. So as per my school, they told me that one is xy and one is x-axis. So imagine this graph is a project which you're working on, and you can see that these are all the responses you got for the product. So these are these are the data points that we are having for the product. So there's one response that is not quite similar to every response. Okay, suppose if it is saying that what are the 10 responses which you're having, these 10 responses are of one word, that is good, great, nice, bad, worst, some other thing, disaster. Okay, what coming to this one point, it says that it is having some numerical values or some missing data or some other thing. That is, it is completely different from the 10 points which are having. That means this is considered as an outlier. Outlier is nothing but a thing which is entirely different from the data points which are having. Suppose if you want to categorically divide this into multiple things, you can divide by using this straight line, which divides this equally. So some for this one thing, some for the another thing. Okay. But if you're having an outlier, this outlier will disturb the entire equation. So as we are having data points like this, if you want to manage every data point, then you need to draw an outlier, draw a line like this to manage every data point to classify equally. So if you are classifying like this, that means we are having more data points in one section, less data points in another section. So this will give us wrong output. Okay. So we need to eliminate the outliers so that we'll be having the correct output whenever we are going for the data points classification. So what are the data points we are having? We need to draw a line that so that in a way it covers all the data points. Suppose if there is a data points in this way, if we are having a line, a graph in this format, then it is called as overfitting. Then it is called as overfitting because it is covering all the data points so that it learned how to perform well in the given data points. Suppose if one new data point comes, then it won't go through the data point because it didn't learn the pattern for the new data point. It only learned the pattern for how to pass for the existing data points. Suppose if some new thing comes, it won't perform well. It's like learning something new for the past 10 decades, and if something new comes, we need to learn it again. We cannot perform it without seeing. So that is something which is going to happen. That is called as overfitting. Coming to underfitting, then we are having data here. So then it is only passing by not touching any single data. Okay, this is a perfect graph where multiple data is surrounded. So here data is not being surrounded properly. Someone is there, someone is here. Okay, at this point you need to make a change so that this outlier is removed. Suppose if you are having a single outlier here, you need to remove this outlier so that you'll be having a correct graph for this 5 to 6 data point. So you'll be drawing a line like this. So this will classify the entire data points into multiple classification formats. I hope it is clear. Guys, give me some response that you understood this thing or not. Type something in the Q&A. So after finding these outliers, after finding this missing values and everything, we'll be going to a process called as exploration and feature engineering. So in this feature engineering, we'll be considering only the features that will be used for the analysis. So as we have discussed, what are the 10 responses which we are having? If it is only single word, we'll consider that because it is best for the analysis. Suppose if you're having 10 responses in a single way, and if you're having two or three responses in some other way, we will not consider these two or three responses because for these two or three responses, you need to change the model again. So the model which you're having, if it is built on these 10 responses, that is great and good. But if you're having these 12 responses where two responses are not in the same format, then we need to change the model to adjust these two responses again. So the best way is to neglect the two responses so that we'll have the optimal model where this model is trained on 10 parameters. And come to the model building and evaluation. When the model is built, we need to evaluate as the process is collection, data pre-processing, model building, model evaluation, deployment. And after that, we'll be having monitoring. So the same steps we'll be performing in data science also, but coming to the data science, we'll be performing the steps in practical for considering all the tools and elements we'll be having in data science. So coming to the applications of data science, what we'll be having, we can use the data science in marketing, healthcare, finance, and operations. What are the applications you'll be seeing for data analytics, machine learning, deep learning, artificial intelligence? Everything comes under data science. So what are the clusters we'll be having for the subtopic for sub-technologies? These sub-technologies will come under the main cluster called as data science. Data science is nothing but manipulating data of raw data. So manipulating the raw data to get the insights for business output. So if you're having a business and you can use the data science to get the raw data into insightful data. So raw data is nothing but the data we'll be having into day-to-day life. So suppose if you're filling some customer feedback or if you're filling some feedback form of an app, everything comes under raw data. Or suppose if you're going to, if I am a person who is working in Amazon, and also if I want to get the data of Amazon customers. So as we know that we'll be having millions of customers. So these millions of customers will be getting the data. So in this data, if you look at that, this is a raw data. What are the data we're having is raw data. We need to filter data. So if I want, I can fill out 3 to 4 addresses. So Amazon will create 3 to 4 addresses for every person. So if I'm a person who is having only single address, then I'll be having empty address in address 2, address C. Then I need to clear the missing values that I'll be having in address 2 and address C if I want to go for the data pre-processing. So we'll be having multiple data science platforms to perform these operations. So one of the best platform to perform these operations is cloud-based platforms. So as the complete environment is shifting towards the cloud in nowadays, where everything is being performed by microservices of the cloud. Suppose if we take an example of hosting and everything, previously we used to store the data in local systems. So we should have storage systems, database systems locally. But now what the companies are doing is they are migrating everything into cloud, where the cloud providers might be Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, and also some other partners such as Salesforce, Terraform, and etc. etc. So where what we are doing is we are using these cloud-based services. So one of the services database, one of the services storage, and the services virtual machines. So we'll be using the services to perform our actions. Suppose if I want to store my customers' data, I'm a company where I'll be having my customers' data. So I want to store my customers' data. I'll be using cloud databases, not the personal databases. So using these cloud databases will help me a lot to monitor the data, manage data, and make some analysis and perform some models, algorithms to get the insightful data from these cloud-based platforms. And also we'll be having some open source tools, that is Jupyter Notebooks, VS Code, and also I want you all to know that there is a tool called as Google Colab, which is a notebook feature that was developed by Google. So in these notebooks, you can develop the machine learning models and you can run them. Whatever the Google Colabs you'll be having, you don't need to download the libraries in this Google Colab. As Google Colab is a service platform which is being run by Google, Google will download all the essential libraries that are available in the entire IT sector. So what are the libraries which are available we'll be having in the Google Colab. You don't need to download and install the libraries. But coming to Jupyter Notebook and VS Code, you need to install the libraries in your local system, because these notebooks and coding compiler, these will be working in your local system where the libraries needs to be installed. Coming to visualization tools, as I discussed, that data science is nothing but a small part of data analytics. So coming to DA visualization tools, we'll be having Tableau, Power BI. So these are the data analytics tools. Coming to Tableau and Power BI, these are the professional data analytics tools. Suppose if there is a job profile in the LinkedIn or Naukri, you can see these tools mentioned in the job description, because these tools are the professional tools we'll be having for every visual data analytics job. So if you are a machine learning engineer, you will be using Matplotlib. Matplotlib is a visualization library which we'll be using for the data points. What are the visualizations we'll be seeing in the machine learning. So we'll be using Matplotlib or Seaborn. So these libraries will help us to visualize the graphs, visualize something, raw data into visualization. So from this visualization, we can get the insightful data. And also we'll be having big data platforms. So in this big data platforms, so we'll be having Hadoop, PySpark, and other things. So these big data platforms will be using to do the data warehousing and everything. So as we've discussed that data will be of multiple formats, converting the data from multiple formats into a single format and storing them in a single place. Consider the process of data mining and data warehousing. Big data platforms will be using to perform these operations. So we'll be using this big data and performing the operations using cloud. And after that, we'll be using open source tools to get the machine learning algorithms. After performing the ML, we'll be visualizing the what is the output we'll be getting from the ML algorithms. So we'll be learning a programming language in this course. We'll be learning Python. So Python for data science. Python, why we are learning Python science? Python because it's the most popular language. It is having rich ecosystem and libraries, and also it's having strong community. So why it is most popular language? Because in Python, what are the libraries we are having? Everything is pre-built. You don't need to define everything in general. So coming to Java and C, we need to define every library, what we have, what it define every function, and we don't have that rich and extensive libraries. So coming to Python, we are having most libraries which will be helpful for machine learning and data analytics. Coming to strong community, Python is being considered as the most strong community in nowadays for tech communities where Python is being developed by an average of 25 to 50,000 developers daily in the Python community. So if you are having some doubts or some other things, if you go to this Python community and ask this out, someone from this millions of people will help you to solve this doubt. And you can consider that you're not alone as a Python developer for machine learning in this strong community. So we'll be learning why we'll be using Python for this data science, not Java or C. First, I need you to learn what is the difference between Python and Java. If someone knows what is the difference, please text the Q&A. What is the main difference between Python and Java? Sorry, I'll be speaking slowly from now on. I didn't see the chat until now. Does someone know what is the difference between Python and Java? What is the main difference between Python and Java? So I'll be giving you some hint. Python is an interpreted language. Java is a compile-based language. Java only fits in object-oriented. Python oriented programming. Python is an all-rounder. Yeah, we have some responses, but the main difference between Python and Java is that Python is an interpreted language, while Java is a compiler-based language. So, what is the difference between interpreter and compiler? Is in this compiler-based language, the compiler will convert the entire Java code, whatever the Java code you'll be learning, import system.io, public dot void dot and everything, system dot out dot reader and whatever code you'll be writing, to convert the entire thing into machine readable format, into bits and bytes. Suppose zeros and ones is the thing which will machine understands. We will convert the entire code of Java into machine understandable format. After that only, the compiler will execute the code at a single once. Okay. Coming to the interpreter language, Python is an interpreter language because the compiler will execute one by one line of Python code directly without converting the Python code into machine readable format. Remember one main thing that Java is a code, Java, C, C hash, everything will be converted into machine readable format at once. That means they will be converted into machine readable format. Once they're converted, even if it is 20 lines, 50 lines, 10,000 lines, the complete Java code must be converted into machine readable format. Once the machine reads the language and understands what is the Java code, it will execute the Java code within a single turn. It means it will not compile the Java language one line by line. It will execute the Java language at a single turn. But coming to Python, Python is a language which will not be converted from human readable format to machine readable format. It will directly automate the executing from line one. From line one, after that, it will execute line two. That is the reason in most systems, such as banking systems and finance systems, Java is the most used format because in banking, we need every transaction to be takes place in microseconds. Compiler based language is faster than interpreter based language. I hope it is clear for you. Yeah, that is great, Harish. So I hope you all understood what is the main difference between Python and Java. So what Python is, it will convert the entire program into output, but Java, it will convert the entire program into machine readable format. After that only, it will convert the program into output at a single once. But coming to Python, it will execute line by line without converting into machine readable format. So that is the reason Python takes more time than executing a code. So you can see that Java is a code which will be using for banking systems and everywhere because Java is a thing which will execute fastly than Python. So as Java executes faster, if you want to make a transaction, you're sending an amount from account A to account B. If you're performing Python, this transaction will take some time because this transaction code will run one by one. But coming to Java, this transaction code will be converted to machine learning and it runs at a single ounce. That means entire code of 10,000 or 1 lakh lines, whatever it is, it will run in a single ounce. But coming to Python, if the lines are increasing, then the compiler time will increase. If the lines are small, then the compiler times will small. So we'll be understanding the basics of Python. What are the data types we'll be having? What are the variables? What are the lists, tuples, and everything? So I hope you all know what is the data types: for loops, while loops, conditional statements, and looping statements. Give me some response in chat that what is the rating you can give yourself on these conditional statements, looping statements, these tuples, dictionaries, etc. Give me some response, guys. That do you know these topics or not? These variables, data types, conditional statements. So your attendance is marked directly by the Zoho. As we are connecting or meeting in Zoho accounts, this Zoho will take your mail and it will record the time. So as the meeting is of 2 hours, it will take is the meeting is for 2 hours or not. If the meeting for the mail ID is more than 2 hours or 2 hours, then you will be given the attendance. If not, your attendance is not marked. I hope I've answered your question. So as we are taking the meeting in Zoho, your mail is a unique ID we'll be marking. So if the mail is there in the session for 2 hours or more than 2 hours, then your attendance will be marked. If not, your attendance will be marked as absent. We'll consider the 90% of the meeting which is long. Suppose if a meeting is of 2 hours, we'll consider 90% of the time. So if you are present more than 90% of the time in the session, then your attendance will be marked as present automatically by the Zoho. If not, the attendance will be sent as absent to my team. So common guys give some response regarding the variables, conditional statements, for loops and everything. Give some response in the chat box, not by Q&A. Sorry, not by emojis. Give me some response in the Q&A. That do you want me to tell the variables, data types, conditional statements, looping statements, everything, or shall we go directly with the libraries? We learn what are list tuples and everything. I want you all to answer me regarding the topics that you know how much topics you know regarding this topics which I've told you. So if you are perfect in these topics, we'll continue with the session. If not, we'll stop right here. We'll discuss these topics and we'll move further in the session. So regarding the chat feature, it was disabled by your team. I need to talk with my team and enable it again. So coming to a small introduction, we have a small introduction of 2 minutes. What are variables? What are data types? So allow me to introduce these topics for 2 minutes, everyone. Suppose if you can see it, look at the screen. The thing which we'll be discussing before a variable. Suppose you look at this thing, this is called as data type. So this data type is something which will measure the value. Suppose if a value is of character, that means we'll be having a data type called as char. So this char is will be available in Java, C, and other things. But coming to Python, it will automatically take the data types. Suppose if you want to so this is the integer, this is the variable. Variable is something where the data is stored. Suppose you can take this as a container. Okay, 9 is stored in a thing called as A. Now, if you want to know what is A, then we'll be typing as print. In this print, we'll be having the variable name that is A. And also, if you want to know the type of A, So I hope you can see that we got the type as a, sorry, we got the type as int. So this is a variable. And the other topic which we will discussing is data types. So this is a data type. So other than that, we'll be having another data type called as float. If it is having 0.00, and if you return this, now it is called as float. So if you're having a single thing with no decimals, then it is called as integer. If you're having with decimal, so then it's called as float. And also you'll be having some other things called as true and false. So these are called as Boolean values, where you'll be having only true and false. Suppose if you have this value where you are typing some 8,9. So this is of list category. So list is something where we'll be storing heterogeneous data. Heterogeneous data means we'll be having of multiple data types. Suppose I can show this. So here we are calling A again. So I hope you can understand what is this. So this is a list where you'll be having multiple data types. So in this data type, this list, the data type is integer, integer. It is a list again. So this is list. Suppose if I want, I can store B also. As it is not defined, give me a moment. So as per the choice, list is a place where you'll be having heterogeneous data type. Okay. So there is a small difference between list and tuple. List is a mutable thing. That means if you want to change the list again, we can change that thing. So if you go to the list after it's created, we can change what is list, and the list will be in ordered format. So if we create some other thing, as it is calling something, now we'll place a string in this. Now if you look at this, we're having 8, 9, and in here we are having B again. Okay, 8, 9, this 8, 9. After that, we're having C. Give me a moment, guys. I'll just come in a bit. Okay, guys, we're back. Sorry, my laptop went out of charging. So now we are discussing about lists. We'll go back to the tuples. So remember one thing, list is an ordered mutable thing. That means you can change and it is an orderable format. But coming to tuple, tuple is an immutable thing. So going to code. how tuple will be written is tuple will be written in a format where let's take, now you can see the type of tuple. So if you're having a data in close bracket, open bracket, curved brackets, then it is called as tuples. If you're having data in box brackets, then it is called as list. So coming to the dictionaries, dictionary will be in flower brackets. So the main difference between tuple and list is list can be changed. That means it is of mutable format, but coming to tuple, tuples are immutable. That means cannot change once creation. So after once tuple is created, we cannot change them. So now as we are not creating some normal code, we can change them. But coming to the tuple, once it is created, we cannot change that one. Okay. So I'll tell you how to change a list, how to change tuple. So basic example is a of 0. Okay, we'll write it there. Print. Let's take an example where I'll print a of 0. So the at the index of 0, we're having this one that is 8. So if you want to change something, that is a of 0 will be 10. Then you can see after even after creating the list, I can change the list without adding 10 in the list. This is the original list. So this is a original list. Even after creating an original list, the 10 is not added in the list. 10 is not in the original list, even though we can change the 10 in the index 0. But coming to list, let's show you that thing. C of 0. Let's take it as 9. So you can see that we got an error that tuple objects does not support item assignment. So item assignment is not a feature in tuples. So that means if you want to change the thing, you can only change while creating a tuple. So go back, create a tuple again, and remove this thing. Then nice, you can get a tuple and you can get a tuple then. So coming to the dictionaries, dictionaries is an unordered thing. Here we can have this in an ordered format. But coming to dictionaries, these are unordered and these are mutable collection of key value. Key value is coming to key value. Let me tell you an example. Suppose 98 is my roll number. Here I'll be having my name called as Surya Verma. So here you can see this is key. So this is key because these values are unique. So what is the roll numbers I'll be having? These values will be unique. So this thing is not unique. So everyone can have my name, but everyone cannot have my roll number. So whatever the roll number I'll be having in my college, this roll number will be unique. So we'll be discussing with a small pair of code of dictionary. Coming to D for dictionary. We can give the roll number, that is roll will be, let's convert this to string. So everything in quotations will be of string format. Roll is 21 example. Okay. So automatically it's generating us the code regarding for dictionaries. I hope you can see my code that it is telling us to switch to name and printers as per the responses which you are getting. So that is what machine learning is. So what are the data training in the previous thing? So in the previous two cells, you have given the data, you are describing the data, and you are printing the data type. So as per the same thing, you are giving the data and you are printing the data type in this cell. So here we are getting the data as dictionary. I hope you can see that they're having the data formats in this thing. So remember things such as list is a mutable and ordered thing. Coming to tuple, tuple is an immutable and ordered. And dictionary, it is an unordered thing which is of key pair values. So key pairs is where key is a unique thing. So if I create another thing, so I'll just print the items first. Yeah. So now we can see that I can get 24, 21 as a roll number. So I'll tell you why this thing is unique. So we look into this. So here we will add another dictionary. Okay. Now this dictionary will have this thing called as IDs. Okay. Now as we are having the IDs, so this is unique. So this ID must be in string format. And now if you look at the code, it will not execute because you're not having the one dictionary. So as it is mentioned previously, that we are mentioning the single dictionary. In the single dictionary, we're having an attribute called as row. But now it is changed that we're having an attribute called as ID. So now even if we enter the ID, it's showing us the complete dictionary because this is considered as a value. This entire thing is considered as a value. This is considered as a key pair. Okay, key value pair. This is the key. This is the value. Now, if you want to change this, you can just simply type some ID where it is 21 and we can solve it. Now we can see that we got some unexpected after dictionary. So as it is thinking that this one is the key, this one is the value, but this thing came under unexpected reach. Because what are the things we are discussing? What are the things we are describing? This needs to be in a structurable format. So if you take this dictionary out of this thing, and if you take it here, deciding that this one will be 21. Then you're closing this thing. Now it will give an entire syntax, but when you hit a comma, it will give that tuples. It's converting the entire thing into a tuple. Now what you need to do, you need to convert this into a dictionary format. So the thing you'll be doing is you need to make sure that the multiple dictionaries which you're having will have the correct format. So if you are seeing this thing, we need to make sure that it will have this one. So you can see that unhashable type of it. So what's the error we are getting? Unhashable type of it. So to solve this error, we need to change the code in a format where this thing is considered as a separate dictionary. This thing is considered as a separate dictionary. So for that, we need to store it in separate format. So we'll be dividing this into a list where we are having multiple formats of substances. But now list indices must be of integers or slices. Now it is telling that list must not be of dictionary format. Now we can consider this that so long story short, it is giving us as we are calling something that is not meant to be called, we're calling the thing, we are making the error from last few minutes. So we need to check the data type. So it is giving us list. When you remove these brackets and when you remove the brackets as dictionary, it will consider the thing as is of dictionary format. I hope you can see the screen back. Now we'll have a small introduction of NumPy and Pandas. Then later we'll delve deep into the libraries of NumPy and Pandas. Later we'll go back to the Matplotlib, Seaborn, and if there is some time, we'll go some hands and have some quiz. I hope that's clear for everyone. Hope you can hear me, guys. Give me some response. So the libraries which we'll be discussing is called as NumPy and Pandas. Coming to this NumPy is a powerful numerical computing algorithm. So what are the simple complex mathematical equations we'll be having in Python programming that can be solved using NumPy. So dividing NumPy is nothing but numerical Python. So in numerical, what are the complicated calculations and what are the complicated operations we'll be doing with the help of NumPy, where Python will use this library to perform the complex algorithm. Suppose NumPy is mostly used to do the complex algorithms with the help of n-dimensional arrays. Suppose if you're having arrays of homogeneous type. So what are the homogeneous type of arrays you're having? Suppose this homogeneous type of arrays will help you to get some insights. Then we'll perform some analytics on this arrays. So to perform some arrays on these types of guys, I hope you can see my screen. Yes. So I hope you can see it now. So coming to NumPy, where it is called as numerical Python. NumPy is a library in Python which is used to solve numerical complex computing. Coming to Pandas, Pandas is a data library offering data frames. What are the data frames you'll be having? What are the data you'll be having? If you want to manipulate the data, if you want to look into the data, delve deep, if you understand the data, then you'll be having data type Pandas. So Pandas, you can see the analysis and understand the data by using the Pandas library. Suppose if you want to perform some operations in matrices is a 2D dimensional arrays where it is of 3 into 3, 2 into 2, or some other things. So if you're having some n dimensional arrays, so every n dimensional array it will be taken care of NumPy. And also coming to Pandas, data analysis library which will offer data frames. So this data frame will be used to data clean, manipulate, and analyze the program. So coming to this, I've created a Jupyter notebook for you guys to understand this data analysis, Pandas, and some other thing. I'll just share my screen. After completion of NumPy, we'll have a small break of 5 minutes. So bear with me for some minutes. I hope you can see my screen. So this is a notebook which was developed by our team for your understanding. So in this, we'll be discussing about the NumPy. So as you can see, NumPy, where num will represent the numerical and pi will represent the Python. So we'll be doing, so this is a one-dimensional array. Okay, considering this is a one-dimensional array, we'll be doing some algorithms and operations in this one-dimensional array. Suppose let's take this NP. So first, if you want to do perform some operations, then you need to do this thing called as importing the package. You need to import the library that is called as import numpy as NP. So here as means alias. So you can directly import numpy, but as you don't want to type numpy every time, so you will be using some alias. So here we're using some alias as NP, as it's a global standard. So we'll be using NP. So we can directly use P, or you can use some other thing. So if you run this cell, I have imported numpy. So we have got this array of 100, 200, and 300. And after that, if If you want to know this type of array, it will show us NumPy ND array. So this ND represents n dimensional array. Okay. And coming to this, if you want to know this multi-dimension, then you'll be creating. So let's check about the one-dimensional array. So in this we'll be having a Python program. In this we'll be having an array, and here we are creating an NumPy using the NP. Sorry. So here we are creating a NumPy array using the NP library. So first I'm printing the thing, and again I'm understanding what is the type of data dimension it is. So first, if you print that one, we are getting a array of list type. And after that, you're getting the NumPy array. So if you want to build some multiple arrays, suppose if you want to build multiple dimensional arrays, suppose if the array want to be in 2 into 2, 2 into 3, or if array wants to be in 3 into 2, then we'll be creating the array. So we'll give me a second. Suppose if you want to see this is of list type, so it is not in the array because we are having multiple lists in a single list. So I was trying to get eliminating one thing and get it into form. So if you want to have this not like array of multiple format, as we are having an array of before it was of 2 into 3. Okay, you check that we are having 3 rows, 3 columns, and 2 rows. That means we are having 2 into 3. If I want to make it irregular by removing one element of thing, you can either create it entire list, or you can directly create it by giving it. So now if you can see, it is considered as a list. So if you want to print this thing, Now you're getting an error saying that you're not in the sequence, so it is an inhomogeneous. So one shape is different. So if you want to make some changes in this, you can either have data or we can get the data like d type equal to object. Yeah, some plan guys. I'll just get the error. So here, if you want to just add a thing like 8, is considered as a so here it automatically give us the two-dimensional array. Okay. Now, if you want to add some irregular array, so as you can see, we are having multiple. We are having one of 3 into, so we are having one in this format, another one in this format. Now let's see this thing where we'll be having this. So take this one. We'll be considering this as array is equal to np dot array of. Let's assign this to one thing. Let's just assign this to np. So instead of creating something new, let's assign the thing which you're having before. Okay, so now we are having something called as array. In this array, we are extracting the numpy and also we are creating something here. So let's do here. What is just remove this, and here have this d type equal to object. Okay, now it is coming because we are considering everything into an object. So here, if we do like this, we'll be losing some parts of the NumPy features. Okay, so if you print, so here it is showing that it is considering this entire thing into a list of single list. It is considering this entire thing into single list again. So when you mention this object, you can have inhomogeneous data where you're not having a regular form of data. In one list, you can have 3, in one list, you can have 2. But what are the data you'll be having in different formats. And if you want them to print, you need to have something called as data type is equal to object, where it will consider every object into a separate list and to let you print the objects. Is that clear, everyone? We'll have a short break of 5 minutes and we'll again gather at 7:40. Hope it's okay for everyone. Okay, guys, now we are resuming the session. So, had a small break. I hope you all understood the importance of NumPy. So, let's delve back and understand why we need to learn this NumPy. So, as we told that lists are better for heterogeneous. So, why we need to learn NumPy for having a homogeneous array, as NumPy is for homogeneous library. So, why we need to learn? So, let's take an example for small example for solving a simple interest. So, let's take principal is equal to 9. Rate of interest is equal to 10. And some other thing. Is equal to 3. So if I want to S is equal to P into R into K. Want to run this thing, says that, sorry, I didn't mention the R. So if I want to run this thing, it says that can't multiply sequence by non-list of non-int of type integers. So if the format is of list, we cannot multiply with it. So if you're having a format of list, we cannot multiply by using this. But now if you convert this as p dot, sorry, this. Now we can multiply these things of 9, 10, and 2. Now, if I want to print the value of S, we can see the value of is 180. Okay. So we can see that 9 into 10 is 90, 90 into 2 is 180. So if you want to make some calculations, then we can perform the calculations using NumPy. So that is one of the feature we'll be learning in these sessions and the upcoming sessions. So this is just an introduction. We'll understand why we need NumPy. So in the upcoming sessions, we'll learn this entire notebook. So this entire notebook will be covered in the upcoming sessions. But as of now, we need to complete the introduction first. So introduction where everyone will understand what we are discussing and everything. Now, apart from this NumPy and Pandas, what other libraries we'll be discussing? So we'll be discussing about scikit-learn, Seaborn, Matplotlib, and also TensorFlow. So these libraries will be used in machine learning. So as we have came to the end of the session, we'll be learning not only the basics of these libraries, but in the upcoming session. And also, I request you all, as tomorrow and day after tomorrow, you'll be learning with the self-learning. Go with these libraries, what are these libraries, and I want you all to perform some small tasks in these libraries and send the files in the Telegram group. Okay, is that clear? I want you all to perform small tasks using the libraries of Matplotlib, NumPy, Pandas, and Seaborn. So as we'll be doing the self-learning, we'll know the basics. We can understand the algorithms in general in clear. So what are the libraries? Matplotlib, NumPy, Pandas, and Seaborn. So make sure you learn the basics for these libraries, and also we'll cover the session, detailed session for these libraries. So as we are having this notebook generated, so I'll be using this notebook to explain in deep about this NumPy, Pandas, and everything. But what are the topics we are having in these libraries? Please make sure to cover the basics. So if the basics is covered, we can go back for the extreme foundation of these libraries, and also we can focus on the algorithms too. So We'll be learning about the machine learning essentials. Scikit-learn is a library which is essential for the classification regression algorithms we'll be performing. And also coming to this data science tools, most of the data science applications, most of the data science code, we need to have the scikit-learn. And also coming to matplotlib, matplotlib is a library which we'll be using for visualizations. So if you can see an example of this visualization in the PPT, this PPT visualization we can extract the same using matplotlib. Also Seaborn is an extension, is something like a library called as Matplotlib, but we'll be having some more good visualizations in the Seaborn as compared to Matplotlib. So Matplotlib and Seaborn, these two libraries are specifically essential for the visualizations. So we go back for understanding what is this Matplotlib and Seaborn. So these are the images you can create. Okay, not going too professional. Okay, these are the basic images you can see in the Matplotlib. Okay, so these are the points we'll be having in these data points. These lines will show you the algorithm covering the data points. So what are the algorithm we'll be doing? So if this algorithm is it going to every data point? So as you can see, these lines will like denote the algorithm covering data points. If the data points are covered by entirely the algorithm, then the algorithm is working fine. So we don't need to do the fine tuning again. If the algorithm is not working well and good, then we need to perform the fine tuning. Where if you perform the fine tuning, this fine tuning will help you to cover the like variables which will help to cover the libraries which will help for the more optimized output for the machine learning. If you see this, so this will be having, so these are the visualizations you'll be getting from Seaborn. Once Seaborn, if you are using Seaborn, you will definitely love this. You will leave the matplotlib. So this scatter plot and this bar charts will help you understand the model density, the data points we're covering and everything. So this is not the Seaborn, this is just an introduction. So so what are the libraries we are using? Matplotlib, Seaborn, NumPy, Panda, Scikit-learn, TensorFlow, and other things. So we'll discuss in detail about this Python libraries, Python functions, and everything. So let's end the session discovering by discussing about libraries. So I hope you all know what are functions. Give me some response in the Q&A that you know what is functions. So if yes, that's great. We'll just have a small 2 minute session. So functions. So you'll be having two types. One is predefined, and other thing is user defined. So for predefined functions, you can directly use the predefined functions. But coming to the user defined functions, these user defined functions, we need to use the keyword called as def. So this def will create the function. This def will create the function. Suppose if I want to create a function called as hello, def hello, where I'll be giving the semicolon, where I'll be giving the colon, and I'll be discussing as hello is equal to bonjour. Okay. Now, if I want to print hello, So using this can create the functions, but now we can see that it is returning none because the function which you have taken is not taken input. So hello is a string. By default, it is getting into a string. Suppose if you take it as a number, now you can see even though if you are taking the string as a number, it's not describing the thing because whatever the thing we are giving in this function, it is not considering the number. So in detail, the function is being not entered. The function once it is being called, it is not getting entered into the function. So let's understand how this is working and why this is happening. So just remove this hello. Sorry. We would have some body in the function. Let's say hi. Okay. Now it's saying that it is of no data type. Okay. Now if it's saying even though if it will take the thing as hello. Now what we'll do is we'll get the thing out of here. We'll print the function, but give the name. Sorry. Hi. Now understand why we are getting the same error again because the function which you are doing is not entering into the function. So even the function is getting called, you're not passing any arguments. And so if you take a look at this thing, if you reconstruct the code, so we are having a function. Okay. Now as we are having the function, if you want to go back and perform the same operation, we can do that in the same way called as by using the return statement. Return hi. Now what we'll be doing, we'll be printing the function as print hello. I'll print this thing, we'll print it outside, print it here as hello. Now remember this thing, whenever you're defining a function, you need to end it with return function, not with print. So that is the issue we are getting from the last previous 2 to 3 commands. So now you can see that, sorry, then hi is not defined. We need to give it in a string format. Now it is returning hi because as we are getting the thing in a hello format, so this thing, so this thing you need to return the thing which you are expected. So if you want to return a function, so let's take this thing function, let's say def, go with hey. So in this def hey, I'll be saying that we need to have some condition. Okay, that means we'll describe the thing as hi, it is of a equal to 20. Now if you print a, then define the function as hey again. So we'll get the output as 20 because we are printing from the predefined thing. Now, if you want to return this thing, now if you want to try this thing, we'll be getting the output in the same format, but this output will be getting in the string. You're not printing the thing, we are just returning A. What are the return of A type it is? Just returning it. So, but when you're printing, it is changing the data type and it is printing the thing. And also, you mention this as 20. We're getting an error because here we're not having any attribute, sorry, arguments. So we need to learn about arguments. What are the positional arguments? What are the arguments which we need to take? So here the arguments which are having is 0, but here we are mentioning some argument. So if you need to mention, you can take it as A, and here remove this A. And now A is taking, it is equal to 10. A is assuming that this value is equal to 10 and it is returning A. So now I want you guys to give me some functions and return your name. Suppose let's say def hi print. So we'll take user input, name is equal to input. Now we'll print name plus name. Now if you print this function, now if you execute this function, it will ask you to print the name. Now what is the name? Suppose my name is Surya. If I enter Surya, it's my name. Now it is giving because we have given the input. Now if you give this input here, so what are the thing which you are having? We give it cut and to make the to make the function, and if you call it here, so now we are getting some error because as we know that Python is a interpreted language. The first thing it will execute is this thing. Okay. So def high. So as it is in a function, so it will exit the function because the function is only called when we call the function. So if it is a function, it will exit the function. Better understanding. So if it's a function, it will exit the function. So as we have exited the function, we are in this line. So in this line, we are calling the function. So as we are calling the function, it is going back to the function, and in the function, it is trying to execute the code which is present in the function. Now coming to this, it is stating that print name plus it's my name. So it is taking name as an attribute. Now name, it is not mentioned. So no, name is not defined. The main error is name error. Name is not defined because previously it was here. Previously, name was above where name used to take as an input. And after that, it is passed as a parameter into the print function. But now name is after. Now, after this line is executed, we'll come back to this line for execution. Okay. But now what we are doing, we are printing it well before. Now, if you go to this name equal to input, so not this one. Now here we'll write something called as print 9. Okay. Now you can see that it is executing name is equal to input because high is called. When high is called, this function is called. When this function is called, it is going to this thing and name it is taken. Okay, we are taking the input from here, and after when the input is taken, we'll be going in this print name, it's my name. So after that, we'll be calling the function as name. We'll be calling the name function. So after that input function is called, that is Surya will be placed here and it's my name. Okay. After that, we'll be exiting the function. Okay. We'll exit the function and we will call this print function again. Okay. I hope you understood this one. So play with the functions, everyone. So I hope you all understood this topic. Don't worry, as it's just an introduction, we have covered the basics of these topics, and also we had some network issues in the middle. So we'll cover the max to max topics that is possible in the next session. That is NumPy, Pandas, Matplotlib, Seaborn, and Scikit-learn. Okay. After these things, if there is any time, we'll go back to the functions and some basic Python executions. Okay. So, but meanwhile, I want you all to practice this libraries. What are the libraries is there? Make sure where we'll use, how we'll use, and some other things called as dot point of contact will place this libraries. Okay. How we'll call this libraries and everything. Okay. But calling the libraries is only done when you know what is function. So get back to the basics, get back to the Python basics and learn what is Python, what are the Python basics, and brush up your skills in Python. After you know what is the basics of Python, we'll go back to the libraries of Python. Okay, is it clear, everyone? So I hope you all understood. So sorry for some disruptions we had in this session. So these were due to the network. I'll ensure that we won't be having some network interruptions in the next session. Okay. So brush up your skills in small things that is called as Pandas libraries and NumPy libraries. Play with these libraries. Okay. Don't work. Just play with these libraries. Just try to perform some functions. Okay. Get some errors. Try to bounce back from errors. Okay. Even when I'm explaining, I'm getting some error because I want to show you how error comes. Okay. So even when error comes, not closing the session and then not doing something, I want you all to see what is happening when an error is getting. So when encountering an error, you need to understand why you're getting these errors. Okay, how to get back from these errors. Okay. So that is a thing you need to learn while doing some programming. Don't just discourage yourselves or don't what we call dismotivate yourself when you are getting errors. Errors are the first step of learning. Okay. So that's it for today, guys. I hope you have understood this session. I'll try my best to explain the upcoming libraries in the next sessions. And I'll promise you that we learn every programming language, every machine learning algorithm in notebooks, not just PPTs. Okay, PPTs are just for showcasing you what we'll be learning. But coming to this algorithms, we'll be learning them in notebooks. Don't worry about that. We'll be having some data sets. And also after the data sets, we'll be executing the data sets and we'll be getting libraries executing the functions and everything. Make sure you'll be having correct attendance every day. Okay, guys, thank you. Thank you for attending the session. We'll be ending the session in another minute.